suffered an injury to a core muscle during OTAs, and he's now recovering from surgery to repair that injury. Remember, the Jags chose Ramsey in the 5th round of the draft last season. Guys, in terms of the immediate impact, in terms actually, before we get your response to it, I want to get our reporter, Mike DiRocco, who's going to join us over the phone. He's got his boots down there on the ground. Mike, what more can you tell us about this situation there?
Well, underwent surgery yesterday, and, if everything goes well, there's no complications with the surgery or no setbacks during any of the rehab. It's expected to be a 6-week recovery time, which would put him right around the time the team is reporting back for training camp. Veterans report July 26th. So you'd expect Ramsey, if nothing goes wrong, to sort of be limited the first week or so of camp, but not anything that would keep him out of, most of the preseason or the regular season.
He's a major part of that rebuilding plan there. In terms of who would replace him, let's say he's not healthy, he's not ready to go. What does the situation look like there?
I think the job then would go to Aaron Colvin, who's been their nickelback, but has started on the outside over the past several seasons as well. He missed OTAs and the minicamp, though, with a foot injury, but he's expected to be back completely healthy by the time training camp starts. So if he's like the guy that has to step in, I feel like that the Jags feel that they'll be okay at least to weather a couple of games before Ramsey could come back.
All right, Mike DiRocco, thanks so much for filling us in on this latest information there in Jacksonville. So guys, in terms of this injury, we don't have a timetable here. We don't know when he will be able to return, but just in terms of the effect there, Darren, let's start. What's your immediate reaction when you hear that?
Well, you just want to see a young guy get back on the field. I mean, with Jalen Ramsey, he has a ton of potential. Now you match him up with A.J. Bouye on the opposite side and Barry Church, who comes in through free agency, and you have probably potentially one of the better secondaries as it becomes the personnel. I think Jalen Ramsey is a guy that, when you look at his body type and the way he presses at the line of scrimmage, it reminds you a little bit of Richard Sherman in that style. I think Jalen Ramsey has not only the length at the line of scrimmage, the pressure, but he's an aggressive style corner. Doesn't mind coming up, hitting you in the running game and run support. I think the key to him this year, and you'll see the jump was there, he'll start taking the ball away more probably this year, and the interceptions will pick up this year more than that.
I think they're very fortunate that they're able to take care of this now, and it looks like it projects out to where he can get back into the preseason swing of things within week 1, week 2 of the preseason. I think they're very lucky in that respect. Again, this is a football team that only turned the ball over 7 times as far as interceptions last year. They need this guy on the football field along with Bouye to really take this team to the next level. On the field himself, look, Jalen Ramsey is one of those guys who I had some questions about coming out in the draft as far as just how he would be able to match up against shorter, quicker, more darty type short area quickness type of wide receivers. And he really did a good job of perfecting his technique at the line of scrimmage and taking advantage of his length, his size, his strength, and then his just overall aggressive attitude, which you pointed to. So hopefully he can get back on the field. They need him. He is as key to the offense as a guy like Blake Bortles is. I mean, as key to the defense as Blake Bortles is to the offense, because he's a leader. And he's one of those guys who sets the tone. He's a tone setter. So they need him back on the football field. I think maybe they dodged the bullet. Hopefully he gets on the field quicker.
And if they did, it'd be the second year in a row. He had a knee injury last year in OTAs and was able to recover in time for training camp. And if DiRocco's timetable of 6 weeks is correct, then he could be that he's working at some point early in training camp as well. So obviously that's their hope. And if you're going to have an injury, this is the time of year to have it versus September.
You know, it's hard to replace passion. I mean, it really is. I mean, you don't see a lot of players who absolutely love the game. This kid loves the game. He loves to compete. So, you know, I'm a fan. Hopefully he gets back real soon.
All right, we have actually more injury updates to get to. Down in New Orleans, left tackle Terron Armstead scheduled for surgery for a torn labrum. He's out 4 to 6 months. He started 7 games last season, placed on IR in December with knee and quad injuries. Entering his 5th season with the Saints, he actually sent out a tweet a few seconds ago. We're going to send this to you now in case you're not by your phone. And he put out, "Heartbroken when I found out I need surgery. No one is more frustrated than me after working so hard. I'll be back." Of course, the hashtag WhoDatNation stronger. And while I'm sure he's crushed and frustrated, you got to figure Drew Brees may feel the same way. Our Mike Triplett, though, covers the New Orleans Saints for us. He's going to join us. Mike, what more can you tell us about this news?
Well, I mean, it's such a shame. I mean, we don't know yet if they think there's any chance he might come back toward the end of the season, 4 to 6 months, the rehab it would require. I suppose it's possible, and he's the type of player they would wait for if there's any hope. But, man, it's such a shame because this guy might not be a household name, but he should be. He is one of the best young left tackles in the NFL. He'd probably be on his second or third Pro Bowl by now if he hadn't had the nagging knee and quad injury issues of the last couple years. Only 7 games last year, as you mentioned. And now this, when he was coming into camp healthy. It's just a shame for him and a shame for the Saints. The only reason I hesitate to say devastating blow because the New Orleans Saints offense always seems to find a way, and they have drafted 2 offensive tackles in the first round in the last 3 years, including Ryan Ramczyk with the 32nd pick this year. Actually might be Andrus Peat that slides over to left tackle, their first-round pick from a couple years ago. But Armstead might be the second or third best player on this whole team, so you can't sugarcoat this.
All right, that's our Mike Triplett with the New Orleans Saints. Mike, thanks so much. So Louis, I want to start with you. In terms of Drew Brees, he hears this news, missing his left tackle, out 4 to 6 months. So, we're talking midseason, if I'm doing the math correctly there. What's the mentality now going into 6 weeks of the offseason, in a sense?
Well, I think for a guy like Drew Brees and for the offense overall, look, they've already proven that they can still operate at a high level without Terron Armstead, although they'd be much better with him. Okay, and Andrus Peat has played left tackle, who they had drafted in the first round out of Stanford, although they would like for him to play guard and have Terron Armstead play left tackle and then draft Ramczyk and have him be eventually the starter at right tackle. It throws things into a little bit of a state of flux, but it's good that you have a veteran like Drew who is so timing conscious in his head to say, hey, look, maybe we're not as good at left tackle. I need to get the ball out quicker. I need to really utilize the quick passing game. The running backs have to pick up the slack as far as pass protection as well. And the running game takes on a more critical factor now. So that's on Sean Payton. So I think it's a collective effort to kind of help soften the blow of losing a guy this good. But the Saints have proven offensively they're up to it.
Darren, in terms of Drew Brees' goal to get another Super Bowl, is this window closing? When he loses a guy like this,
you can't lose impact players like this at tackle's position. Now, this is blindside. He needs that time to throw the ball. And let's face it, the Saints are built offensively to win games. I mean, their defense is one of the worst defenses in the league, and historically. Yep. So they need points to put up on the board to win football games. And when you have to play defenses in the league, and you have to see Robert Ayers, you have to see Ayers and Golston with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have to see Vic Beasley with the Atlanta Falcons, you better have someone on that left tackle position that can give Drew Brees some time to throw the football down the field, because this is the only way they're going to win and be successful in this division.
You make really good points, but you didn't answer my question.
Go ahead. Is this window open?
Do you think it's closing?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's getting tighter. I think, but you got to understand who Drew Brees is. Drew Brees is a lot like Tom Brady. He takes care of himself. Yep. He works out every day. His life is football. I still think he has a number of years to play this game, but we're talking about the window is absolutely closing. He's getting older, but right now he has talent around him offensively to win another championship.
The window's closing not so much because of the offense, though. It's because that defense has not been able to be fixed. And Terron Armstead, while he's critical, they can still put up points on the board.
Dan, are there any left tackles on the street? Is there anyone that the Saints can look to?
I mean, Ryan Clady is out there. A guy like a Will Beatty used to play it for the Giants. Actually got hurt around this time a couple years ago, and they had to slide a rookie over there, Eric Flowers. You see what happens. Taylor Decker goes down in Detroit, and they get 2 tackles. They went out and they got Quanjo, and then they traded for Greg Robinson. People are desperately trying to make sure they get what they can get on the offensive line, and it's dried up.
Yeah. Storyline here still says, or at least the headline is, despite losing their left tackle, everyone on this table can